The following episode can be viewed on the YouTube channel Bernie or Bust Television.
And they were fabulous. They had all gotten together to, after Trump because they were so upset, and they meet once a month and they're very smart. And a lot of them were on the fence. And I just said, listen, this is a moment in history. This is not going to happen again. After this guy, you're not going to have a candidate for a long time that is clean.
I found this little video clip in the side eddies of the YouTube stream. Susan Sarandon has always been Bernie or bust, and she has pissed off a lot of people with that position. What a lot of us are noticing is that we're in the last throes, in the last desperate throes of any attempt to save our democracy. Susan Sarandon has a big voice. She's connected to Hollywood. She's connected to everybody that the Clinton machine and the Obama world people are connected to. And they desperately hate her, and they're desperately terrified of her. And we're at 0 hour, Susan. And regardless of whether the machine tells you to shut up, or whether even Bernie himself tells you to shut up, it's time not to shut up. It's time to let your big voice be heard. We could still pull this out if we had a turnaround of the same magnitude that the other turnaround was right before Super Tuesday. So what I'm hoping, dear viewers and listeners, is that you'll tweet this to Susan, that we'll all be able to persuade Susan to use her big voice to let the rest of the world know that there are enough Bernie or busters and enough Bernie or Trumpers, even though some of us don't like to talk about them, to scuttle this for Biden. And if we can show the comfortable suburban Democrats that they can't have Biden, there still yet may be hope.
I just got off the train. I came from New York. I was down in South Carolina, North Carolina. I've been in Iowa. It's happening, folks. It is happening. Do not watch mainstream media and get discouraged, because it is fucking happening. And look around this room. I mean, what's been saved my sanity has been going to launches and seeing who's there. I mean, all kinds of people, all kinds of colors, all kinds of ages. This is what we need. We have an army. That's why he's the only candidate that can beat Trump, because Trump has an army. We have an army. Woo! There are some people. I talked to a group of white women in, I think Greenville? I'm not sure where. I was in the woods. And they were fabulous. They had all gotten together to, after Trump because they were so upset, and they meet once a month and they're very smart. And a lot of them were on the fence. And I just said, listen, this is a moment in history. This is not going to happen again. After this guy, you're not going to have a candidate for a long time that is clean. The only people owning Bernie Sanders are us. Right. We're it. Yeah. And that's not you're not gonna find your way to maybe an AOC or one of those people who are fabulous. I was actually knocking doors with her. And there's so many people, because that's where I'm from, is Jackson Heights, Queens. And nobody applauded. I know, I'm kidding. Crowley had been in there for 20 years. He voted like a Republican. Everybody endorsed him. Hillary did, Cuomo, everybody. And she got it because she had an army. And she would say in the very beginning in somebody's living room when we were trying to get it together, she would say, they're top heavy. They have the money at the top, but they do not have the soldiers underneath. And that's what we have. Now, there's a lot of messing around with the ballots and everything. That's, that's reason to be concerned. And that's why we need monitors. There are no more exit poll things happening. Thank you, DNC. Hello, somebody, as Nina would say.
We've almost gotten used to the ballot box rigging, so we need to stop being used to that, if only to make us angry enough to say to everyone we're Bernie or bust.
We're going to talk about may seem controversial because nobody wants to believe that the United States would rig an election. We're supposed to be the beacon of freedom, the ultimate realization of liberty in the world. Of course, that's what we've been told since we were children. But when you dig a little deeper, there's been issues with voting machines going back for 20 years, and we haven't replaced them. Most other countries have made voting machines illegal. You have to count paper ballots in public to ensure the integrity of the election. The United States is pretty much the only advanced Western nation that allows machines to count the votes and for it to be done behind closed doors with party officials. That is extremely shady. Suppression is trying to suppress people from voting through a variety of methods. Voter fraud is when you outright manipulate the votes. There has been evidence of both in our country before. It's not something new. So let me just read something here. This is from TDMS Research. They studied the numbers of the exit polls from Massachusetts, and you'll begin to see some of the discrepancies and just how way off base they are compared to a typical election. So they write, the 2020 Massachusetts Democratic Party presidential primary was held on March 3rd, 2020. Election results from the computerized vote counts differed significantly from the results projected by the exit poll conducted by Edison Research and published by CNN. As in the 2016 Massachusetts primary between Sanders and Clinton, disparities greatly exceed the exit poll's margin of error. So this has happened 2 primaries in a row. In both times, it favored the corporate candidate.
So we've got a fucked up mess here, and we've got to unfuck it.
Know that you will be able to tell your kids that you or your whomever that you fought for this, because this moment in history looking back is going to be when everything is decided. We cannot have 4 years of a centrist, even if they manage to beat Trump, which is doubtful. But say you do get a centrist in there, the environment's done. Yeah. We cannot have halfway, middle of the road, baby steps, pathways to healthcare, whatever. People are falling through the cracks. Like, I mean, the stories. I was in New Hampshire. I didn't know it was the epicenter of the opiate problem. Who would have thought? New Hampshire. And listening to what they're going through, and then going to Iowa and listening. No, by the way, nobody has clean water. Iowa can't even grow their own vegetables. They're importing vegetables because of the agri-farms and because of all the fucking stuff that's gone into their water. New Hampshire, the Teflon plant. Oh my God. These women that are so incredible have gone around and located wells, and ended up in politics because 3 of the 6 of their kids got cancer. Water warriors. And, you know, it's not going to change unless it's going to come from the bottom, and it's going to come hard won, and it's going to mean knocking on doors, and I've knocked on doors, and in terms of Warren, I mean, she voted for the last 2, everybody says he's so crazy, then they vote to give him his money.
So Warren has voted for the last 2 Trump military budgets. And I don't know how all these smart white women she's talking about could be on the fence between Biden and Bernie if they've done all the homework and figured out how bad the drinking water is. Just that one issue alone, how could you vote for Biden?
For his inflated military budget, which could be going somewhere else. She just voted for this horrible trade deal. You know, really concrete reasons. And what I said to these women who wanted a woman, and I said yes, and I'm sure Bernie's going to choose a VP that's a woman, because he said he would. Yeah, yes. But you have to have somebody right now. This is an emergency. And if you're talking just in some kind of identity politics, or, you know, this other guy doesn't get angry and doesn't wave his arms, and you are in a comfortable place with health insurance. Right. You do not have student debt. Right. Right. You know, you do not have, So, and I, you know, in talking to teachers, what teachers are going through in this country, yes, the economy is doing great, but not for everybody.
And that's why the smart white women she's talking about could be on the fence between Biden and Bernie, is because they're in a comfortable place. They have health insurance. They don't have student loan debt. They're not living paycheck to paycheck. It's the desperation of the Bernie voters that makes a lot of us Bernie or bust. And Susan, bless her heart, she's a comfortable Democrat, but she understands the plight of the American worker. She understands why we can't have 4 more years, 8 more years of neoliberal policy. That's why, Susan, we need you to get on board the Bernie or bust train again and let everyone else know again and face the wrath of the machine, but come out. It's time. There's no time. It's past time.
Not for most people that can't even deal with a $400 emergency. Yes. This is crazy, and it's time, and this is the time, and it's going to be the only time. So we have to just give it our all, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Cheers to you all. Seriously, I have met people in these these launches that have come from all over. I don't know if we had people from other states here, besides New York.
Sure.
Yeah, other countries. When I was in Iowa, there was someone from Scotland and someone from Iran, and I mean, they're coming from everywhere because the whole world is praying that this guy will get in so that things cannot go back to the way they were, because the way they were gave us Trump.
Right.
We don't want to go back to the way we were. There's no such thing as being calm again.
Right.
We have to do something.
We are the ones we've been waiting for.
Yes, we are the ones we've been waiting for. And in the spirit of quoting people, I would like to just read this because I seriously, we don't have, we can't be depressed. We don't have the luxury of giving up at this point. And this is from Muhammad Ali.
Oh boy.
Mm-hmm. Oh boy, yeah. He said, "Impossible is just a big word thrown around by small men who find it easier to live in the world they've been given than to explore the power they have to change it. Wow. Impossible is not a fact. Impossible is an opinion.
Right.
Wow. Impossible is not a declaration, it's a dare. Impossible is potential. Impossible is temporary. Impossible is nothing, as we say."
Yes.
We're going to take that dare and we're going to show them. And as you may see, how blown the minds of our, mainstream media pundits have been in the last time.
Really.
And one of the guys was saying to Joy Reid, who's been particularly nasty to me, so even though I don't have a TV, every now and then I see something of hers. And he was discussing, his name is Anon, he's written a book.
Yeah.
Do you know who he is?
Yeah.
And I don't know if you saw this, but he said something that I hadn't heard before, and he said, "Why is everybody talking about how we can stop this instead of asking, why is this happening?"
Right.
There's a lack of imagination in terms of the journalists. Now, we know it's because their bosses will be taxed for the first time.
Right.
That's part of the problem. But where is their imagination? And this is what you all have, is the ability to imagine. And Bernie has told us that we are empowered, that you are empowered. And that's what he's given us. Noam Chomsky says, I will misquote it, but let me just give you the general idea, that people aren't afraid of Bernie's policies. What they're afraid of is that his people are not just going to show up every 4 years and push a button. His people are going to stay in it. Right. And what they don't want is the rabble rising up and staying together. And you are the rabble, and we're going to stay together, and we're going to do this thing. All I have to say, because I just had a coffee and that's this. So I only have so much.
Okay.
With coffee, we can do anything. Impossible is an opinion. Well, let's do this, people. Let's get the word to Susan that we are with her. Let's get the word to the corporate media. Let's tweet it to them. Let's tweet it to the lefty pundits. They're in my information section below. Let's tweet it to every goddamn person we can find.
Get on board the Bernier bus train. Come get on board the Bernier bus train. Once you hear that clickety-clack, there ain't no time for turning back. Go get on board the Bernier bus train.
The preceding episode can be viewed on the YouTube channel Bernie or Bust Television.